Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good afternoon. Really, it's very difficult for me to represent Dr. Mohammad Samak. I'm considered to be one of his students. He was one of the committee supervising my master degree in contemporary Islamic thoughts. Then really it's difficult for me to represent one of my teachers. Besides, I don't even look like him. He's tall, I'm short. He has no beard, I have a big beard. He doesn't put a turban, I have a big one. He's handsome, and I'm more handsome. Really, 10 pages, wonderful pages, deep thoughts. But unfortunately, I will not be able to read them for two reasons. First, I'm not common to read in front of audience. Besides, even I think you will not be satisfied if I'm reading. Then I will try to summarize, but I will stick to the ideas, and I will be faithful to what is written, even if I do not agree with what is written. Dr. Samak starts talking about Denmark, saying that in 2011, the Danish government made a new law, a law that put more taxes on unhealthy food, thinking that if unhealthy food became more expensive because of the taxes, then the people will consume less, and then they will become more healthy. Then the government was aware of the dangers of unhealthy food. But 48% of the people started to go to Sweden and bring what they need, go to Germany and bring what they need. And that costed the government $1.8 billion. The Danish are smart. And then the government realized that this law and these taxes are not the needed thing, and they stopped this law, according to what Dr. Samak said. But he made it like an introduction to ask, are our countries, Arabic and Islamic countries, aware about not unhealthy food, but unhealthy, bad religious interpretation for religion? Are they aware? We think no. Then Dr. Samak say, even if some countries were aware about this unhealthy religious misunderstanding or misinterpreting, can we make a law or any procedure that can stop people from doing that under bad understanding or having that bad understanding? Also, we think no. Because of the technology and the internet, you cannot stop people from being online, and even if they are in their bedrooms or in their houses or anywhere, able to see these sites and get this information published or distributed by these fanatic people. Then this is the idea. It is very difficult. Like the failure that the Danish government reached, also any government may reach the same failure by not being able to control this. But this is the idea. Unhealthy food makes people unhealthy. And unhealthy way of thinking about religion make the communities, not only individuals, make the communities unhealthy. The second idea, Dr. Samak tries to say through his paper, that what shapes our, what he called national culture. That's what he called national culture. But I think he meant our religious awareness. he put two things: scholars who are always speaking, like me, and school textbooks. Why did Dr. Samak choose these two things? He said, according to a study made by the Egyptian government in 2010, Egyptians are not interested in reading. 88% are not interested in readings. And there's an Egyptian joke, according to Dr. Samak, says that we Egyptians read by our ears. And then the scholars will be reading for us and telling us things. And we witnessed the satellite channels, free, always putting some imams, some sheikhs, some scholars, and talking and giving online fatwa, religious advice. These imams and scholars, according to what Dr. Samak says, have big beards, like me, have turbans, also like me. He meant me, maybe. And behind these big beards and big turbans, they are showing themselves in a prestigious way and giving this influence to the society through the internet, through the satellite channels, and talking and encouraging people for violence maybe, and giving wrong interpretations for many religious issues. And we read by our ears. People are listening and listening and listening and just thinking that is religion and that is what God says. This is one. The other thing is the school books. People don't read, but when they are in school, they are forced to read. Then the school books, the textbooks. According to Dr. Samak, these textbooks in the Arabic world, and he gave Saudi Arabia as an example, are full of maybe passages encouraging the idea that Christians are non-believers. And that is against what is written in the Quran. And also, these textbooks encouraging the idea that the Jews who are occupying Palestine came with the solidarity of the Crusaders to occupy Palestine, and they both, the Christians and the Jews, are the enemies of Muslims. And that textbook, which is in a school with a teacher, and the pupil is forced to read and forced maybe to even summarize, this will shape his, what Dr. Samak called national culture, or his awareness about his religion and his point of view about the other. And Dr. Samak put some numbers, saying, for example, in Saudi Arabia, according to him, 31% of the of the teaching hours in school, 31% is for religious teaching. 1/3 for such religious teaching in a school. Then what kind of thinking we can have through such a textbook with such a time of teaching? Besides, Dr. Samak says, in some countries, and he gives Turkey as an example, then when you give a better teaching, then people will be less interested in religion. And one of his studies, according to his paper, that in 1997, in Turkey, they raised the age of the obligatory school teaching from 5 to 8. And this study says, because of this extra education in secular state in that time and secular schools in Turkey, 30 to 50% of women became not more interested in putting on their scarf or their veil. While also, according to this paper, men were not affected by this decision. Also, he gives something about Emirates and about Egypt, and how Charles Darwin theory is not at all accepted. And even if some people heard about it or read about it or even teaching it, they are not believing in it or skeptical about it. And then he says that maybe increasing science hours and mathematic hours as teaching hours, maybe this will encourage the critical mind of the student and encourage him to analyze the information, and then he will become less led by these religious scholars with big beards and big turbans. According to Dr. Sammak, that in Saudi Arabia there is some decision taken by King Abdullah to change these textbooks in order not to have this information, this false information. And also, according to Dr. Sammak, he quotes from Patriarch Ignatius Hazim IV, and also from Bishop Khalil Alwan, some words, how as a Christian, the book saying these Christians are unbelievers and they are enemies and they will help the Jews to take the Palestine. He quotes from them passages saying that, no, we are the people of this land. We are the companions of the Muslims, and together we cooperated to even have this Arabic language to be spread in this area. And we both are to be here together, etc. And then after Dr. Sammak quotes from both, he says then, if Christians are from this land, they didn't immigrate, they did not come from elsewhere, no, they are the people of this land. And they had this long history with Muslims and long cooperation through history with Muslims. Then these Christians do not need Daesh, ISIS, or anyone to give them citizenship or to recognize their presence, because they were even present before Islam. And ISIS even does not represent Islam. It is against Islam. It is anti-Islam. Then how can we wait for them to recognize the presence of Christians in this East? And then Dr. Sammak ends with a Greek myth. He says that in ancient Greece, there's a place called Delphi. The myth says that Zeus, the king of gods, wanted to know the middle of the earth. Then he sent an eagle to the far east, an eagle to the far west, and he ordered them to fly to meet, and they met in that place. Then Delphi in Greece is the middle of the earth. It is a sacred place. Then in ancient Greece, when there was serious things, people used to go to Delphi and ask the woman there, which is serving God, she's like a priest serving God, to give them some wisdom, some wise advices. And it is so thought that she is not giving her own advice. These are given by Apollo, the god. This is the myth. And then Dr. Sammak says, maybe nowadays, Washington is like Delphi, the middle of earth. And maybe Obama and in his Oval office is like a god. And maybe John Kerry, he is the one we should go and ask for this advice. But still, he says so. But still, what Obama tells us and what John Kerry tells us and what this administration tells us is that they want a better Middle East. But what we see is not even a Middle East. It is going back to the Middle Ages. And we have all of this mass, and still we are promised to have a better East, a better Middle East. Then Dr. Sammak ends saying that Muslims should take their role to face the Muslim-Christian conflict and the Sunni-Shi'i conflict. And they have the responsibility to say that that Samuel Huntington, in his book the end of history, which he talked about the clash of civilizations, then Muslims, by facing ISIS or any other fanatic ideas, by stopping this Muslim-Christian conflict, or this Sunni-Shi'i conflict, or this Arabic-Kurdi conflict, or any conflict, they can prove that this was a false theory. This was a false theory. And if Muslims did not play this role, they will be proving that it was a prophecy that should be fulfilled. Thank you.